All right, part 3 of chapter 2 of CSE 3200. Wire up views in a different way than we did in chapter 1, this time by using view binding. Now I'm going to stick here in the slides for a bit because it's more of a talky thing. So one of the first things we're going to have to realize is that we're going to have to build the Gradle. So we're going to have to make a change in the Gradle, and the change is going to be, right here, just those couple lines of code, build features, view binding true. Once we do that, we have to sync it. And the reason is that view binding is not, it's not done automatically. We don't get it with a default Android environment, so we have to put it into the Gradle and update the Gradle. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to go into our main, and we're going to delete a lot of what we had. Now, I'm showing nothing there about the true buttons, but when I actually do it, I'll keep a little bit of it because I actually want to see true button dot set on click listener. But we're going to get rid of a lot, and we're going to add in the 3 lines that you see here. So we are going to add the private late init var binding activity main binding. And what I want to say here, and I think it might be on the next slide, is that what view binding does is it adds some boilerplate code, which means that it's going to add some code behind the scenes that is going to help me link up my files to wire them up, and it's also going to be a little bit safer. It's going to make sure that my code is, I don't have to use as much code, and the code's going to be shorter and it's going to be clear. So it's got quite a few advantages. All right, so our view binding is going to be called binding, and it is going to be of type activity main binding. More on that in a little bit. And then in the onCreate, we are going to add a line before the set content view. And it's going to read just like this. So binding equals activity main binding dot inflate, and then we're going to use the inflate method, which is inherited from activity, and we are going to use its default layout inflator. Now we're going to change the set content view line, and we're going to put in binding dot root. And I will do that live for you in a minute, or okay, it's live for me, but it'll be recorded for you. All right, let's see, did I say that thing up top? Activity main binding is auto-generated. Yes, I did. Okay, I did want to talk about that next sentence, that it generates more than what you just saw. If you have other classes, like if I had bob_builder.xml, then it is going to create a view binding class called Bob Builder Binding class. So it builds a bunch of them. So going through that, you can now tell that this is actually going to be for our, it's going to be for binding to our layout manager. Okay, so our find view by ID is gone. It will be gone. You'll see me delete it. It used to say like, r dot and then find view by ID. So the R class, it also is like an auto-generated type of class, and it does come already hooked up automatically when we open up our environment, unlike view binding. But instead of using the find view by ID, then we can just kind of set up the binding and then just start right into binding dot and then set up our listeners. So we can save time wiring up. All right, so let's go into our application and start doing exactly what I said we were going to do. All right, so I did remember to change that. You don't see it, but I did change it in the string file. Here, I'll show you that there. It's gone from there, so when I run it again, it'll show up. All right, so in the main activity, I'm going to get rid of this, which will cause some errors, but no big deal. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to keep those right there, but these 2 lines, they're going to be gone. The find view by ID used to be part 1 of 2, but I'm going to get these 2 parts to be combined with view binding. All right, now that's still not going to work. I'm going to come up here and add in private late init var binding of type activity main binding. Okay, it's red. It didn't work. All right, but I remember why, and you might too. There was a slide before the one that said we're going to put that line in, which was we've got to update our Gradle. So I've got the resource manager open. I believe I can get rid of it by clicking on it. Yeah, but that gets rid of everything. I want to go to the project file, and I can hide these things if it's a little bit clearer. But when this is all hidden, I have two possible files to start drilling down in. So far, every time it's been the app file that I've found things in, the main activity, and now our question class, and strings and activity, etc. So we're going to go drill down into Gradle scripts, and we are going to select the one on the bottom that says module. When we open that up, we are going to go down here to the bottom, right where right at the end before dependencies. So in the screenshot you saw it was under Kotlin options, and we are going to put in, let's see, build features, put in opening curly brace, and we are going to put in view binding, no equal sign, just a space, true. Okay, now you get this banner up here, and it says Gradle files have changed since the last project sync. A project sync may be necessary for the IDE to work properly. Click sync now, and that will take a little bit of time. All right, I paused that to make sure that I wasn't wasting your time as that was building, and I had to comment out some stuff so that it would compile okay. So I'll keep those. I'll keep this stuff commented out in the main activity for now. The stuff about the true button because I hadn't set it yet, and here I also haven't set the activity main, but I'm about to do that. So we are going to go into the onCreate, and we are going to go, let's see, binding equals activity main binding, activity main binding dot inflate, inherited from the activity class, layout inflator. And then we have to set content view from r.layout, etc. to binding.root. Okay, so that should cover the second slide that I showed you. And I am going to go ahead and run that and make sure that it runs okay. The listeners are no longer there for the true button, but that's okay. The graphic should still be there. I don't have any logic for my next button either, and it still shows up. So, okay, that runs. All right, now, actually, that is it. We're actually all set up for the view binding. We just need to get the logic to update. So let's cut this video here, a nice short one, even though view binding is a pretty big topic for Chapter 2. And we'll come back in our final video and just fix all the logic.